We've got the programme organised now.
Yeah.
Thank God. I was really dreading that, but now it seems to be okay. There's a few stragglers sending you ridiculous questions like, "Oh, is it okay if we charge $7.50 in?" and things like that that were like from at the very outset were established.
It's free, yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
Today we're going behind the curtain with Francis Cox, who's going to be presenting his one-man show Diary of a Madman by Nikolai Gogol. So yeah, hi, how are you?
Okay, good.
Yeah. How'd you get into acting?
That's a bit of a long story. I'll try and cut it short.
Okay.
It was 2009. I was at a dinner party with an artist friend. At the end of the dinner party, in the wee hours of the morning when we were all very drunk, he said, "Come down to the studio and I'll take some photos of you all." So we all did. And he took this one photograph of me and everybody just said, "Wow, you should think about doing this professionally." And I always remember there was a theatre maker there, there was this crazy ex-Russian model, and there was also somebody who'd been in advertising, and they were all like, "Yeah, give it a go." And since I already worked freelance as a copywriter, I gave it a go. And
so it just came to you?
Yeah, it came to me really. And then I started doing acting classes, and one thing led to another. And I started getting work as an actor. I've done several TV commercials and online promos. I've done a couple of theatre shows and done some voiceover work. So it just sort of snowballed.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And Amsterdam, how about that? You mentioned earlier you've lived here in this house for 17 years.
Yeah, I've been here 19 years now.
Right.
Yeah.
So what brought you here?
I was kind of done with London. Things weren't working for me there. So I moved to Amsterdam and I love it here. Yeah, it's a great place to live.
Yeah, it certainly is. So Gogol, I want to talk about him a bit. He was a Ukrainian writer. His heyday was in the 1830s and 40s.
Yeah.
He wrote in Russian. How did you get into this character, Poprishkin? What was your way into the character? I'm very interested to know about that.
You mean in terms of...
Personally, I think actors often have a moment where a door kind of opens and they go, aha, and they kind of access the character.
Oh, right,
What was that moment for you?
Yeah, I think it happened very early on when I was working on the piece, because I actually worked on it with one of my acting teachers. She suggested it to me as a piece to work on. And we worked on it scene by scene, or should I say diary extract by diary extract. I think it was quite early on when it becomes clear that he's working in this office where he's underappreciated. He wants better things, he wants higher status, and okay, that's not me, but I think I've certainly been in a job where I've felt underappreciated.
So you could understand.
So I can understand it, and I could certainly relate a lot to his frustration about that.
That's the thing about it as well. It is about madness, but it's easy for people to, when they're playing madness, to resort to kind of crazy, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But it's a completely understandable crazy. This character, it builds in a very logical way.
Yeah, that's right.
I think, sort of rational madness.
Yes, and I think audience members will be able to relate to it in that way, because we've all been in jobs where, well, maybe we're not underappreciated, but we've had moments when we felt underappreciated. I think as modern work life gets more and more pressured, I think people do feel stressed and slightly mad sometimes. So I think audiences will be able to relate to it in that way too.
It's a bit of a horror story in a way, without the supernatural element. It's a natural horror story.
It is a natural horror story, yes. He's this tiny cog in this big wheel, you know, the bureaucracy of St. Petersburg in the 1830s. I think a lot of people will relate to that.
There's this other aspect as well, the forbidden object of desire.
Yes, with the director's daughter.
Yes.
Yes.
How did you work on that, or what came up for you when you were?
What came up for me? I think once again we've all had unrequited love at some time in our lives, so I could relate to it in that sense. And there's a moment in the sea in the piece where he meets the director's daughter in close quarters. She comes into the office, and it's this wonderful moment for him. It's, he's struck by lightning almost. And I think we've all had that too, where we meet this amazingly beautiful person.
And it's the love that cannot speak its name as well, because
exactly.
of the difference in their status.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm really, really looking forward to seeing it, and thanks very much for talking to us.
Very interesting.
I like Gogol very much.
Yeah, well, I remember when I first wrote to you, you wrote back and were very enthusiastic.
You can see Francis Cox in Diary of a Madman at the Astro Teatro in the Vollen in September during the Free Fringe Festival Amsterdam. Check the website for details, freefringefestivalamsterdam.com.